So today we're going to dive into the really provocative and, often controversial philosophy of Dr. B.M. Hegde. He's a very well-known Indian physician and cardiologist. What we're going to do is break down the core arguments from one of his most famous speeches to really get to the heart of his radical prescription for what he believes is a better, healthier life. All right, let's get into it.
Dr. Hegde kicks everything off with one central, really challenging question. He basically asks us to stop and think. Is the very system we trust to make us healthy actually the source of our problems? I mean, that's a pretty bold place to start, right? It really sets the stage for a powerful critique.
So right out of the gate, his first big point is a direct challenge to the entire modern medical establishment. He argues that the whole system is built on a flawed foundation, one that, in his view, has very little to do with genuine human wellness.
And he does not mince words here. He claims the industry isn't driven by making patients better, but by corporate profit. He literally uses the term Wall Street greed to describe a system where, money is the only thing that really matters. And to really drive this home, he points to the example of a single drug company making $13 billion in just 1 year from selling statins, that common cholesterol drug. And then he makes this shocking claim that they do this, and I'm quoting here, knowing full well that statins are poison.
So how can he call a prescription drug a poison? Well, it comes down to his idea that our bodies have this kind of innate wisdom. His theory is, when a synthetic chemical drug enters your system, your body immediately identifies it as something foreign, like a poison. It sends it straight to the liver to be destroyed, which, he says, damages the liver. But on the other hand, he argues that the body recognizes herbal remedies as food and can use them directly, working with your body's systems.
Okay, so after laying out what he sees as the problem, Dr. Hegde then gets into the evidence for all the harm the system is supposedly causing. And honestly, it's pretty startling stuff.
And this right here, this is probably one of his most powerful claims. He states flat out that the #1 killer in the world isn't heart disease, it isn't cancer, it's adverse drug reactions, the very medicines we're prescribed to treat our illnesses.
And to back this up, he brings up a study he says happened at Harvard. So you have a group of patients who all need bypass surgery. They split them in two. Group A gets the real, full-on surgery. But Group B, they're just put under, given a small cut on their chest, and then woken up and told the operation was a success. And the result? You're not going to believe this. He reported that the placebo group actually had better outcomes. Scans apparently showed their bodies had naturally created new pathways for blood to flow.
Then he shifts gears and points to something really interesting, something that's been observed in multiple countries. He claims that whenever doctors have gone on strike, in Canada and LA and Israel, the overall death rate and the number of people getting sick in the general population actually went down significantly. For him, this is proof that less medical intervention can sometimes lead to better health.
Okay, so now that he's made his case against the whole external system, this is where he really pivots to his core philosophy. The idea that the solution isn't out there somewhere, but it's already built right into us.
And this right here is really the heart of his entire message. It doesn't matter what the treatment is, surgery, medicine, homeopathy, whatever. He argues that the real healing is always, ultimately, done by your body's own immune system. A doctor's job, in his eyes, is just to help that natural process along. He even has a name for this process: quantum healing. The basic idea is that your mind is so powerful, it can directly influence your physical body through things like meditation, elevating your consciousness, and using what he calls autosuggestion, basically telling your body to heal. You can literally instruct your body to fix itself.
And this all leads to his ultimate takeaway, really. For Dr. Hegde, your physical health is a direct mirror of your mental state. All diseases, he argues, start in the mind. And so it follows that all healing has to start there, too.
Okay, so if the real healer is inside of us, how do we actually tap into that? Well, in the last part of his talk, Dr. Hegde gives us a simple, pretty actionable prescription for how to live a long and healthy life.
He boils it all down to these 5 core principles. First, eat half. Always stop when you feel like you could still eat that same amount all over again. Next, help others and be a giver, which are really 2 sides of the same coin. Just give to people without expecting anything back. He also says you gotta work hard at something you love to stay active. And his final principle is maybe the most important: forgive. He calls it the greatest stress buster there is.
And his last piece of advice, it's really all about your mindset. Become like a child.
Be curious about everything, don't hold on to hate or grudges, and live without all those artificial rules we put on ourselves as we get older. He truly believes this is the secret to a healthy heart and a healthy mind.
And so that leaves us right back where we started, with this huge question that really sums up his whole philosophy. After hearing all of this, you're left to wonder, who's really in charge of your health? Is it some external system, or is the power and the responsibility truly in your own hands?